Hey, what's up, Stephanie?
Hello.
How you doing?
Hey, I'm good. How are you? I never
Pretty
did
good.
this before, so okay.
You've never
It's
done it
working.
live before?
I never did a shared live.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
Cool.
I've done a few. I just started doing this like last week, so it's not too bad.
Yeah, nice.
Okay, so
Oh,
I'm,
it's nice to meet
I'm,
you.
I'm sitting in a park bench near Atlanta, and I'm getting harassed by yellow jackets. So if I get stung in this interview, it's either your fault or
Hey,
for the
no
benefit.
blaming me. I'll blame the glasses.
Yeah, yeah, they're attracted to it. So okay, so here, let me do a quick intro to you. So I followed you for about a year now, and it's funny 'cause I remember. Well, a couple of things I like about you and your work. So for anybody watching, Stephanie Ganowski is a dating coach. She's out of California, and I followed your work for about a year now. And the biggest things that I love about what you do is, number one, your energy. So I can see like the excitement and the energy that you bring to your videos, which I think is awesome. And then the other thing is, everything that you've said to me has struck a chord with me as being spot on. And so about a month or two ago, I messaged you on Instagram. I asked you what it is that you read, like what's your knowledge base, and you threw a couple authors at me. And I thought it was intriguing because it was like, because I was trying to fill in the gaps on what I know. And I thought it was interesting because you're coming from this other knowledge base that I haven't even touched on, and yet everything you say strikes a chord with me. That's why I wanted to get you on today. And for anybody watching, real quick, and I'm going to ask you a question in a minute, but for anybody just watching this, Stephanie's got a background in psychology. You've got a bachelor's degree in psychology, coaching, yoga, fitness, and health. You're licensed specifically in relationships, sex, and mindset. You've got a gender intelligence training. Men are from Mars, women are from Venus book. Oh, looks like she lost her connection. We'll get her back on in a second. And she also has a What I Love About Men podcast. She also does one-on-one coaching and offers a free 30-minute session. So if you go to stephanieganowski.com, it's StephanieGanowski.com. And her shit's really good. I've followed it for a while now. So she's coming back on here. One second. Gotta love this technology. All right, she's coming back on. Okay, got you back. So
Hey,
while you're at,
okay.
I finished my little intro with your background, et cetera. Okay, and I put your website out there.
Oh, great. Thank you.
Yeah. So what I want to talk about today is this whole concept of, as a man, because you coach men in general, right? Okay, as a man,
Yeah.
having to put yourself out there and get over rejection, and and just creating abundance and entitlement, like what that does for a man. And so I have a lot of things I want to ask you, but I know we wanted to dial down our question list a little bit.
They're all such great questions. I was like, I could go off for 30 minutes with one of these.
Yeah. Okay. So I think the first,
Great.
like, most people like settle within their league, right? Everybody's like, they know people from work. They've got, people in their immediate social circle. And a lot of people just kind of end up, without even really realizing it, they kind of end up settling for what's immediately available to them, somebody that's attractive and somewhat interesting, et cetera. And a lot of, what I mean to say is, most guys don't go on this journey of finding exactly what they want and almost making it a quest, and because it's hard. And so I guess, what would you say is the benefit of that? Like with your clientele, do you see guys getting what they want at the end of the day?
I do, because I have them get really specific on what they want. And I think, like, whatever in life, and this goes with everything, like, you only get what you focus on. And I think for us to just, like, settle into relationships where we're in that, like, oh, this person is what I'm looking for, it's just, what's really the point? Like, what's the point of just going into a relationship for the sake of being in a relationship? Most of the time, when you have the intention of just, being with someone, you don't end up happy. And I think when we really put intention in terms of, like, okay, this is what I'm looking for, this is what I'm willing to bring into my life, this is what I know will make me better, then you know that what you're getting is true value from that person, versus just like, okay, now I'm in a relationship, we'll see where this goes. You know, if you're, the more clear you are to begin with, the happier you are, I believe, in the relationship long term.
I totally agree. So it's like, it's the whole reticular activation system, right? Like if you come up with a list of what you're looking for, then you see it out in the world all of a sudden, you know?
Yeah,
Really
your
clear.
brain, like your subconscious takes up 90% or 95% of your thought patterns. So just think about that. Like, how can we program our subconscious to look for what we want it to look for during the day? Because we don't have conscious control over it, but we can program it by reiterating the same things over and over and over. When you have a certain mental rehearsal going on, then the brain catches up with you and says, okay, let's be on the lookout. Like, this is ingrained in our subconscious now. Let's, you know, just be on the lookout for more women like this, so that when a woman comes up to you like that, you're right away, you're like attracted, and it's more easy flowing, and you're more confident, because it's like, oh wow, this is what I've been looking for. That's so weird. You know, she came up to me. So it's interesting how it works.
Yeah, for sure. So what would happen, okay, if a guy does that, but then all of a sudden he's not talking to multiple women? He's like all of a sudden this amazing creature is in front of his face, but he hasn't sat across the table from other women like her. You know what I mean? He hasn't weathered himself or went through and felt the pain of getting rejected on a continual basis. What happens then?
What do you mean? Like if he's not prepared?
Yeah, exactly. Like you haven't put the work in. Like you meet a woman that knocks her socks off, except you haven't been out a lot. You haven't spent time around women of that caliber. You haven't approached and been rejected, etc.
Yeah, well, I think that's the thing. Sorry, my puppy's crying. I have to pick him up. That's the thing with just practice. I think guys have to get more in the habit of just practicing being social and practicing talking. First, get clear on the woman you want to attract, and then understand, like, okay, well, where would she hang out, or what clubs would she join, or, you know, what groups would she be a part of? And then put yourself in those situations or those environments or around those types of people. Because, you know, when you do that, then it's like you get more practice talking to those types of women. You know, you're not going to hit it off right away,
Right.
and be the most amazing communicator if you've never communicated, especially with that type of person. But it just takes practice. And I think guys have to just cut themselves some slack in terms of, like, dating is a process. It's not like you must date and then marry that woman, or like if it doesn't go well, that means it's your fault. It's not your fault. A lot of guys take the credit or the fault for a date not going well, when it's just, you have to look at it like dating is a process and we just didn't go well together. It's okay. I'm moving on.
Yeah. So building on that. So as a man, so over the last year, I've kind of taken, you know, a couple key books that I don't know if you remember, we talked about a few works that I've been into or whatever. And so I kind of took that and ran with it over the last year of my dating life. And what I found is that when I get to this sweet spot of kind of having like probably 3 good, like, relationship prospects. So not just women that I would go on a date with, but like maybe 2 or 3 that I would actually consider being in a relationship with. That is like the sweet spot of, you know, abundance and entitlement and all this kind of stuff. And I've noticed that, like, when I get to that, from there, you know, I have them chasing me. It's like, and I have choice. But before I get to there, because one thing that, and I wonder with other guys, right? Because I feel like there's all different levels to this. For me, it's like, I get excited by one girl, and then I want to stop talking to everybody else. And then I kind of tunnel vision. And there's been a few times where that's tapered off because I didn't have the abundance mindset. I got too excited about one. Analyze that.
I have so guys, pretty much all my clients go through this. Like, they'll finally find one, and then they're like, and then something happens where they don't end up with her, and then they feel like they're stuck from square one. And, you know, I started putting more into my coaching the idea of the abundance mindset, and it's okay to talk to multiple women. Like, it's okay to talk to women and get to know different women and see who your type really is, especially if you've been out of the dating world for long. You may have to be reacquainted with, like, what am I really looking for? Like, maybe I've never been intentional about dating, but now I am. So, like, what do I need to, you know, what am I looking for in a relationship now? And so you have to get back out there and you have to practice being with different women. And, you know, guys always think like, oh, am I an asshole if I talk to more than one woman? But she's probably talking to more than one guy, especially in the initial dating phases, because you don't owe each other anything.
Right?
You know?
Not even by choice, because it all comes to her. So even if she's not meaning to talk to other guys, like it's going to happen no matter what, right?
It can happen, and especially based on like your attraction, your energy, your mindset. If you have the abundance mindset, you're going to get people attracted to you because you're feeling in a confident place, like you're feeling good, like you know that there's people around you, you have a lot of opportunities. So but that's the best part of being in a relationship and getting into that exclusivity stage, is where people, you know, say, hey, like, I know there's other people out there who are interested in you and me, but like, you mean a lot to me. Like, let's, you know, take this a step further and just focus on each other. Like, or I would really love to do that. Like, that's what makes it so special, right? And that's what makes a relationship special. So I think, like, in the beginning, don't worry about meeting numerous women or talking to numerous women. I wouldn't sleep around, you know, irresponsibly with numerous women if you're really trying to find a partner, because that could come back to haunt you. But just be, you know, be respectful and be communicative with that person who you care a lot about. And if you start really caring for them, then bring it to that next step, which is exclusivity, you know?
Yeah.
Think of dating in phases. You know, first it's just getting to know the person, then it's saying, hey, I don't want to date other people. Let me see if she's down to not date other people. And then that's when you know you're on the same page. I wouldn't like cut all women out and then ask her. I would say, how are you feeling about this? And see how she's feeling, and then just communicate.
Gotcha. So what would be, okay, so you have a new client. Let's say, let's give two scenarios. So you have a client, and you have a guy that's just getting into dating, and then you have a guy that's maybe, you know, he's comfortable, like he doesn't have a problem on a date. You know, he's looking for what he wants. Like, what would be your prescribed, like how much should a guy get out? Like, what does it look like for a guy to get out there, to put himself out there, and to get over the rejection thing, and you know, like coming from the place of like being a beginner, and then maybe from a guy who's already gotten over that, like how much abundance should that guy build, or is that something he's already built from his past experiences? Like, does a guy, like, what does it look like in your opinion? You know what I mean? What does abundance and entitlement look like in your opinion? Because I feel like, so even for me, so I've dated a lot over the last year, but I feel like if I'm only talking to one, even though I'm comfortable on a date, and even though I kind of know the do's and don'ts of, you know, what's too much texting, etc., I kind of feel like less powerful or less confident if I'm not talking to multiple women, despite the fact that I'm looking for a long-term relationship. So I guess I asked you a couple things in there. So from the beginner, and
I think I have an answer.
Yeah.
All right. So to tie it all in, I would say lose the expectations. I would say that guys with an abundance mindset don't have the expectation of, you know, I'm going to go on this date and she's going to be the one.
Okay.
And I think a lot of guys do that. Like, first of all, they give themselves either two outcomes. They'll say, this is I'm either a success or I'm a failure, when you're really not. It's just a dating process. Like I said, it's like, you're not a success, you're not a failure, like regardless of what happens, it's just happening. And then when it comes to expectations, like too many guys have these huge expectations of, I have to go on a date and it has to be perfect, and we have to have a great conversation, I have to kiss her and she has to want to have sex with me. And if all these things don't happen, then I suck, then I'm lame, then I can't get girls, then it means this and that. And I'm like, right. Whoa, okay. So it's getting rid of the expectation. And something that like blew one of my clients' minds, and he's so good at getting dates now because of this one shift, was he said, all right, like, I'm going to lose the expectation. So I said, okay, if you can reclaim or restate an expectation, what would that look like? In terms of just like, what's the smallest success you can have that would make you feel good? And let's shoot for that and make that your success story. So he said, all right, well, I would just want women to talk back to me and have a good conversation back to me, even if it's for a few minutes. And I said, okay, so that's your new expectation, is like, just have a conversation with a woman. That's it. So now he goes into it thinking like, okay, if I talk to a woman and we exchanged a few words, that means I'm a success. And he walks away feeling good about himself. And that gave him so much confidence to just approach women, because he's like, all right, I could say a few things. Like, she's not going to reject me just by asking her a question, you know? And he started so many conversations. He's like, Steph, I can't stop talking to women now because it's just so easy. So, like, he doesn't have the expectation of
goal.
Date.
Yeah, he set up a small hurdle to jump over to begin.
Yeah.
And then he's getting in this flow state because he's
and then it leads, that small thing leads to the date. It leads to the number. But he's not saying I need a number, otherwise I'm a failure as a man. I need a date, otherwise I suck at getting women. He's just saying I want to have more conversations and be good at that. And that's what I'm going to shoot for. So he does. And most of the time, if you just say one thing to a woman, she's not going to be like, fuck off. You know, she's going to be receptive and she'll say something back. And if that to him makes him feel like a man and a good success, then he's going to keep doing it. He's going to get better at conversing. He's going to get better at starting conversations, and he has. So it's just lowering the expectation of I need a number, I need a date. You don't need that.
Yeah. Okay. So you said something earlier, like just get used to socializing more, right? So for a guy like that, so like you said, like his thing was like just have some kind of exchange with the girl. And it struck me while you're talking, it's like, oh, like just talking with the cashier at the grocery store is like practice for that, right? And so it's how, like, if you stay congruent, like throughout everything you do, it can carry over to that also.
Yeah, it totally will. It does.
Yeah.
And like guys don't realize that. They're like, oh, well, all of a sudden, like, you know, one day I'm just going to be great with women. Like, it's about starting the social practice, like make socializing a priority in your life. Because when you do that, when you start talking to everyone, not just attractive people, but just everyone in general, then when you find that attractive woman and you're like, oh shit, she's really attractive, I want to approach her, you're not going to have a problem because you're so used to approaching so many people a day.
Yeah.
Even if it's 3 people a day, you know, today I'm going to talk to the waiter, I'm going to ask her this question, I'm going to talk to the bartender when I go in, have a conversation there. You know, and the more simple, if you just simplify it and make it like, hey, I can talk to this person, you know, especially in customer service, their job is to talk to you. So like find the people whose jobs are to be receptive to you.
Yeah.
Yeah, like you have to, motherfucker. And then like build your confidence through there.
Yeah.
You know?
Definitely. Okay, so I'm curious. So, all right, so we talked a little bit about, well, let's talk about rejection for a second, okay? Because that goes with this too. So we talked about a little bit about, you know, just getting out there and building the reference experience from the conversation with the cashier, everybody else, you know, et cetera, and, you know, just hurling it up. But also, like, to do this means rejection too. So to go approach a woman, so it's different. Like you said, okay, you go have a conversation. It's not hitting on the girl, etc. That's not a rejection scenario. But eventually, you're going to put yourself out there, and that is going to get left on the table. Like you're going to get the seen messages if you're doing this online, right? You're going to get the women that you get the bitch shield, right? And you're gonna get rejected, and yeah, you can spin it off in your mind, but at the end of the day, you're gonna have to deal with putting yourself out there and then not getting the reciprocation. So what do you have to say on that subject?
In terms of rejection, I think it's just reminding yourself that you're not meant for every woman, and not every woman's meant for you.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's an important concept to keep in mind, because so many guys just think, oh, well, you know, I can't attract her and I can't attract her. And like, and you're not going to be attracted to every woman. You know, if
Right.
women did the approaching, which, you know, it's not as like, it's not what happens. Okay.
Right.
Like you guys do have it harder on that end. But even the women that you start talking to, sometimes you're not feeling it and you're like, okay, like I'm going to drop this, or maybe I'm going to like, she's going to see the seen message and it's going to, you know, go the opposite way. But I think just reminding yourself, I'm not for every woman, and not every woman is for me. And that's, like I said, that's what makes a relationship so much better when you end up with a person. Cause it's like, wow, like I had to go through these many relationships in order to get to you. And that's, you know, she had to do the same. And it's just reminding yourself, we're both on the same, men and women are both on the same, we have the same purpose, like, you know, to end up with the right person. And just because you date someone doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to go, you know, that you're going to have a future together. It doesn't have to be that. And I think it just also goes back to dating is a process, and it's just a process to get you closer to the person who is best compatible for you.
Yeah.
So
I totally agree.
I know yeah.
So I've noticed, okay. So back to the hurdling thing. So I've noticed in my life, when you first do some kind of approach, right? So one way that I do it, because I'm a busy professional type too. I don't really do a lot of in-person approaches. I don't really go out to clubs a lot, etc. But the big thing for me is online, and I like Facebook because you can send a video message. And so one thing that I'll do is I'll find women that are local in my area. I'll add them on Facebook and I'll send them a video message. And most women, like, just because somebody adds you on Facebook does not mean they're interested, right? People want friend counts and they want followers and stuff like that, right? They want to publish their business or whatever. But I like Facebook because you can send a video message. Well, the first time I sent a video message, I was like so nervous because it was so weird to, like, you know what I mean? Just send in super casual video, just like, hey, this is Benny, blah, 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 whatever, send it, right? And I remember like sending it to somebody I was attracted to, or my friend's book, or friend list, and like it was just like left on scene, and I was like, oh, that sucks so bad,
Fuck.
And how many have I sent out since then that I have no remembrance of it not taking, right? But what happens is, you send out 10 and you might get one response back, and the cool thing about that is, and I liken this to in-person approaches, is because as a man, you're targeting the exact type of girl, at least looks wise in the beginning, right? That's all we have to go off of. You're targeting what you're interested in. And so, whereas on an app, you might have to wait to match, et cetera, blah, blah, blah. On Facebook, you can go right after, just like you would in person. And then when they hit you back, it's great, And so, but I just remember like this process of like the first time I put myself out there with a video message, because that's what it takes almost to get noticed by a random Facebook message, right? Was like that crushing like feeling of rejection, but once you get over it, right? I do it all the time now, and it's been great. I've met some amazing people off Facebook, and just like hurdling that, and now all of a sudden I'm empowered to do more of that.
Yeah. Oh, good for you. And that's like a great example of just doing it the hard way. Like, just fucking do it. Like too many guys are just like, oh, what if I feel, okay, you might feel rejected. It might suck. You're going to feel a little like shitty. It's okay. That's normal. It happens to all of us. Women feel that way too. When a guy we're really into doesn't want to date us again. It's just understanding, like, put yourself back in the place of looking at it from an outside perspective and saying, all right, say I do get rejected. What does that mean? How am I going to feel? And like, if I don't want to feel that way, what can I do to change the way I feel? And just have something like, how do you want to feel after you get rejected? Ask yourself that. Like, how do I want to feel after rejection?
Yeah.
That way you have an idea of like, okay, once you are rejected, what do you get? What?
It's like, you want that I don't give a fuck kind of feeling, that's how I.
Yeah. And not even like I don't give a fuck, because you do. You
Yeah,
you feel shitty.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah. And you do feel shitty, and it's okay to feel shitty, but it's also important to like shift right away out of that state so that you're not sitting in it and dwelling on it. I had a guy I was working with, and he just got rejected one time, and he just kept playing the memory of that one time and talking about that one time, that one thing that happened over and over and over. And I said, what do you think this is doing? Like, you're mentally rehearsing the wrong outcome that you want for yourself. You're programming your belief system to believe that like you're a failure and you're terrified of women. It was just, don't replay. You have to be really careful of the way you talk to yourself and the things you think about consistently, because they play a part in women and approaching. And, for you to do something like so scary and just like do it and dive in and just realize, hey, like, I came out of it. I'm still alive. I'm still good. Like, I can do more of this. It's okay.
Yeah. And I just want to tell anybody watching, like, it's so worth it, because like you get out of that comfort zone. And I've met so many fucking amazing people just by doing something that was super uncomfortable. And I could see it would be the same with your clientele, like whatever their little hurdle is, or a guy, or just the guys that do the club thing, or the guys that do the day game thing, the grocery store thing, or whatever. Like, it would be so rewarding, because now you have this skill set, and now the world is open to you like that, So
you're not letting that situation control you. Don't let the rejection take over who you are. That's just a feeling. It's like I said, always go back to, and I'm huge on this, like, always go back to, what do I want? How do I want to feel right now? Okay, so what do I have to do right now to feel that way? So you can get out of that rejection feeling, get into where you want to be.
Yeah, that bad mental loop.
Yeah.
Our so wired for the negativity. It's like, get it out, you know?
I know. We have to fight ourselves constantly.
Yeah. Okay, so let's just say, so most guys watching this are going to be, you know, they probably haven't broke into that uncomfortable territory. If they want to get better with, because my whole pitch is like, figure out, like we said earlier, figure out what you want and then get used to going after it. It's going to be uncomfortable because, you know, what's comfortable to you is what you're already used to. What's really not doing the trick. You know, it's probably, you know, the attention that you're kind of getting naturally, or, you know, people that are just in your immediate social circle. And yet you probably have something on the horizon. If you're a man watching, like, you have an idea for what you want, yet it's uncomfortable because it's maybe a certain personality type that challenges you, or it's a certain level of aesthetics that intimidates you. And so for the guy that's beginning, because this is uncomfortable, what would you tell a guy to kind of equip him to get out there? Like, what is your, if you have a new client who wants to get to that point? Not disturbed. So if you're going to tell a guy, like, to equip him, to send him out there, like, what are the basic tools you give him? Like, what are, you know what I mean? Like, how do you send him out into the world, kick him out of the nest?
Well, I would ask him, you know, what he's looking for. And if it is like to be in a relationship, I'd ask him, all right, where are you now? You know, it's always like my whole thing, it's starting men off is, where are you now? Where do you want to be? So we can bridge the gap in between. Because if you don't know those two things, you can't create a plan or get anywhere. So with certain guys, it's like, all right, they're fine jumping into it, going solo on weekends. And they'll just be like, all right, I'll go out here to this bar and this night I'll go here. And I'm like, all right, like, and they do it, and they find success that way. And there's other guys where it's like, I don't have any guys, like, none of my friends can make it this weekend, and they just need their friends there. And that's okay. That's okay too. So it's really about the guy, and it's really just starting him in his comfort zone where he's pushed out just a little bit, where it's like, if he's terrified to go out, it's like, what's one thing you can do different to push yourself more towards this, aka what he wants, what he told me he wants. Okay. So it's really like, that's my whole process, is like,
there's no like starter pack. It's like, where are you at, and then push it over.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it is so personalized, like the way I do it. So it's like, all right, where's your comfort zone now? All right, how can we do like 0.5%, you know, out of that comfort zone? And then that creates his new comfort zone. You know, once he makes that tiny change, then he gets comfortable there with that tiny change. Then I'll say, all right, what else can we do? Then it creates a new comfort zone. And before you know it, he's leaped out of its comfort zone, only it's taken gradual steps to get there. So it doesn't feel as scary. It doesn't feel as shocking. It just feels more him. And he's actually, you know, identifying as a new man because he's taking these new steps, but slowly. You know, it's like, I tell my clients, like, you dictate I dictate the process, you dictate the speed, so they can go as fast as they need to go in order to feel comfortable doing it.
Yeah, that makes sense. Because I've had a few people call me over the last couple of weeks, and I've noticed, like, I want to tell them what the, like, you know, like, what the gladiator solution, you know, is. Like, how do you make a beeline toward, you know what I mean? And I know there's so much hesitation, and I've realized, like, to take any action at all, they have to kind of step from wherever they're at and go one step forward at a time. Yeah.
And as a coach, we need to know what that step, like, it's not up to us really to tell them what the step is. It's really up to them to acknowledge for themselves, what should the next step be. Like,
makes a lot of,
like, okay, like, this might be like a little scary for me. And then I'll say, okay, do it. Like, I'll hold you accountable to doing that, you know? And then it's coming from their mouth. Like, it's their idea.
Mm-hmm.
They came up with it. They decided on it. They committed to it. So it's, you know, you can't really argue with that if it's coming from them.
100%. Yeah. Let's talk about creep factor for a second, right? Because inevitably a guy gets into this and he's going to want to tell his friends or you know, whatever. And maybe he'll share some of your content on the Facebook or whatever. And then you get the hater comments, etc. So one thing Owen Cook said, I love this. Do you know who Owen Cook is? Are you familiar with him?
I don't know. It sounds familiar.
He's the guy that started Real Social Dynamics. It's like,
no, maybe not. Maybe not.
Pickup. No. Maybe that's not. Okay, but he's got this. Got this quote. He says that sure, is learning, like, well, his thing is pickup, right? Got kind of a relationship spin on it, but like, he's like, sure, is learning success with women creepy? He's like, yeah, maybe a little bit. He's like, the only thing more creepy is not learning these skills, right? How many times as a woman, like, are you approached by a guy that doesn't know how to talk or what to do, and then you just get this weird vibe off of that, you know? And I thought that was so wise. Like, what would you say to a guy who's like struggling with this idea of ironing, like just ironing out these skills?
I mean, I think it's just what women are looking for. And women do find it attractive to see guys trying to improve their relationships and trying to improve themselves when it comes to women. Like, we love that. We really love that. And I think it does differ from the pickup industry versus, like, you know, getting relationship coaching or counseling. I think there's a difference there just based on societal norms of, like, okay, what is the pickup industry? It's like, there's a lot of talk about negging and like doing things that women wouldn't agree with. Not all women would agree.
Right.
But when women hear that a guy is trying to do better, or, you know, improve himself or try to learn about women love that. And I think guys have to not feel weird about it or don't feel creepy about it, because if we know you're really trying and you're trying to be a better version of you, then that's what women are attracted to. We're attracted to men on a mission to be better and do better. Like, that is so sexy, so attractive, and guys should never be ashamed of that, especially when it comes to women. Like, it's just like sex. Like, I always tell my guys, do not be afraid to ask her what she wants in bed, even while you're in bed. Like, ask her what she wants. Ask her, does this feel good? And I think a lot of guys are afraid to do that because it's like, what if it doesn't feel good? It's, every body is different. You know, you're not meant to know every single woman's body in the world. Like, we're all different. Yeah. So for you to be open and just confident enough to say, hey, what do you like? I want to give you what you like. That's like, oh my God, like, that's such a turn on. And we love hearing when guys are just like, I want to know you better. I want to get to understand you better.
Gotcha.
Like, we want to understand man better too.
That makes a lot of sense. How are we doing on time real quick? I got another question I want to ask you.
I can't see my time.
Yeah, I can't either. What's your, like, do you have time?
Okay. For one? I got time for one more. Yeah.
Cool. Okay.
I can do that.
So what is the number one piece of advice that you would give to a guy? Because, like, if on my end, like, the whole book that's blown my mind is Way of the Superior Man, and I feel like having a life purpose would be the number one thing I would say to a guy. But what would be like the number one thing you would tell a guy that's just trying to shape up in this department?
I mean, I'm really big on that too. Just like focus on you.
Your answer.
Like, make it all about her. I think, like, too many guys right away, they're even when they start dating a woman, they're like, okay, I got her. I'm afraid of losing her. Like, I don't want to lose her, so I better talk to her every day, and I better ask her about this, and I better, you know, cancel my plans so that she doesn't get mad that I canceled. Like, don't be that guy that cancels things for her, that you know, gives up work or your passion for her. Like, when she starts seeing that you rely on her for your happiness, she's gonna run. You know, like, women don't want the responsibility of making you happy. They want to make you happier. And I really think that's the true meaning of a healthy relationship, is don't be each other's halves, you know, be two wholes that come together and make each other better, you know? So I think that's just really important. Like, she shouldn't complete you. She should make you a better man, and you shouldn't complete her. You should make her a better woman. So let's not forget about our own lives. Don't forget about your mission as a man. Don't let her get in the way of your mission as a man. She will respect when you don't allow her to get in the way. She will respect the hell out of that. So just, remember that.
100%. Okay, so I threw out your website in the beginning, but it's Stephanie Ganowski, GANOWSKI.com. I saw on there, so tell me if you're still doing this. I saw that for an initial client, you'll do like a 30-minute initial consultation. If somebody wants to get started with you.
Yeah,
Oh, the live would have to end. All right, we lost the connection, but StephanieGanowski.com. Thanks, Stephanie, for joining. I'm gonna go ahead and record this, and I'm gonna post it up on Facebook and Instagram. And appreciate y'all logging in to watch this, and we'll see y'all later.